Thank you for staying with us on NTV Weekend Edition. Now, for many Kenyan households, a mound of ugali hot off the stove is a staple. But when the price of a 2-kilogram bag of maize meal shot up to about 230 shillings in some cases, Kenyans turned up the heat, not in the kitchen, but on the executive. I sat down with Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya for insight into the government's response.
Yes,
how are you?
Very, very well.
Well fed?
Huh?
Well fed?
Oh, yes. I'm fine myself, but I'm sure not everyone.
Exactly. And I assume that is the reason the cost of maize meal has been brought down from about 205 shillings, as you say. Some argue it was 220, down to 100 shillings. Yes. President Uhuru Kenyatta, in addressing this situation, listed a number of factors. He said poor rainfall over subsequent seasons. Yes. He talked about a locust invasion, the locust invasion, and there's no denying that that happened. He talked about COVID-19 and then went on and mentioned the Russia-Ukraine war as all being contributory factors. But then he also went in and said that he wonders why this happens every election season. So which is it? Is it the factors I listed beforehand, or is it politics?
I think he was saying all those factors have contributed. The drought was in the entire region. Even in Uganda, they are saying they don't have enough. Tanzania, we're trying to source maize from there. The minister told me what they have is enough for themselves. We eventually had to talk to the Zambians to find some maize. When you're importing maize, there is cost of transport, which has tripled after the COVID crisis. And then, of course, millers and traders taking advantage of the situation to hold maize to get more money, and who knows, probably politics. If maybe they are supporting a certain side of politics, they would audit, make sure that it is high, so that influence the opinion of Kenyan people. The president was wondering loudly, like you and me, why does it happen every election year? And with precision, the prices go extremely high to once when the date of the election is approaching. The closer it comes, the more the prices go up. Is it coincidental? It's a question he was posing.
Yes, but who should we then go to for answers? Because this is the most powerful man in the country. He has intelligence reports. Why wonder with no answers?
Maybe he was relying on the intelligence report to. He was prodding you, the Kenyan people, to go deeper into this issue. Not to assume that it is just the normal, things that is contributing. Look deep and see whether there are politicians who would want to exploit a situation like that. Especially when you hear some of them harping on it so much during the campaign. You wonder, are they involved in influencing? Remember the fuel problem. There was some involvement. Those who are exporting fuel outside the country, fuel meant for Kenya, and then blaming government. Especially when you hear people really harping. Every meeting you are just talking about Unga going up. Then when it is undressed, you say you are undressing it because of politics. So it's like government can't win. I mean, somebody is saying take action, the public is expecting action. You take action when you have the resources to do so, because government was waiting for the year to close, a new year to start, to be able to budget for the new money, the money for that year to subsidize the price. Now, if that is happening when the elections is coming near, would you stop subsidizing because you don't want to be accused of having a political motive?
Why now? Because you've preempted my next question. You're saying it's a new financial year, the money has been found. I would imagine there are contingency funds for such a situation.
There is no contingency fund, so to speak. When you have a challenge, usually in government, what we do is we raise the issue with the treasury, and the treasury is able to reduce either spending on some matter that is not an emergency, to raise money to bring it to this contingency. So contingency plans are there, but there is no money set aside. It's contingency money.
Okay.
So you are able to review our budget to provide the resources to deal with that contingency, with an emergency like this one.
So why was the budget not reviewed earlier? Is it coincidental that we are a couple of days to the election.
I'm sure you know that we have also been struggling with raising enough money. It is public knowledge. So it will not be fair to say government just sat down there and waited for the voting when it comes near to provide the money. Treasury has been grappling with a situation where you have to raise money to meet the cost of running government and providing services, paying debts. Remember, the Kenya shilling has also lost a lot of its value, which has also increased the debt repayment.
Okay, you've talked about debt repayment.
Yes.
We saw the Ministry of Agriculture first release a statement on Monday. Then we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta meet with the millers at State House.
Yes.
And then issue a statement. I believe that was on Wednesday.
Yes.
Then we saw the price of Unga now come down.
Yes.
Yesterday, was it yesterday that now we started seeing the 100 shilling price tag?
Yes.
Why was it necessary for President Uhuru Kenyatta to meet the millers? Is it indicative perhaps of a lack of faith in the government's ability to repay its debts?
Resistance, the millers basically were asking for a commitment that the debt will be settled, which we gave. If you look at the contracts we have signed with them, there's that commitment that we will settle the debt. What we did in State House was just a ceremony to announce the program. We wanted it to have proper impact in terms of the public knowing, since it was a big issue among the citizenry. Okay. So it was not, will not be taken to State House to be persuaded or be, no.
The statement President Uhuru Kenyatta delivered said it was unexpected, the poor rainfall, the poor performance of the rainfall. But how unexpected, really? Because you just said a drought, it's a cycle, right, of drought. So I would imagine the Jubilee administration has been in office for 10 years.
Yes.
You said this happened, he said this happened in 2013, this happened in 2017, in 2022 this is happening. What happened, were there any measures that were taken in the intervening period to keep us from winding up in the same place?
Well, I would say there could have been a lapse in terms of planning for this kind of a situation, especially given that these droughts are cyclical. But we also rely a lot on, we don't grow enough maize anyway, even in normal circumstances. As a country, we import maize from the region. Now it happened that the drought was covering the entire region. So even what we could have managed in terms of imports, we couldn't. So I would admit that there was lapse on the side of government.
And the reason I ask that is because there's the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, now this is fool me 3 times, shame on me. We
have a plan that is, we are calling it commercialization of agriculture, where we want to target strategic crops like maize, soya, cotton, that are very useful, very important in feeding the people and feeding our livestock. And we want to release government land, lease to commercial people who can grow large-scale farming and be able to produce those crops for us. Here in Kenya, majority of farmers are small-scale farmers. In Zambia, there are many large-scale farmers with big tracts of land that do the farming. If you look at the size of Zambia and the population, you see there is a lot of land. Now, I'm not saying we have government land that is unutilized, which we want to deploy in terms of growing those strategic crops for us.
Okay.
We have also been supporting the small-scale farmers also for their own production, supporting capacity building, credit, good seeds, again to ramp up production so that we are food secure. The trouble with the way we plan, and not just government, because budgeting is not just government, there is also parliament. We talk about agriculture a lot, but we don't allocate requisite resources to invest in that agriculture, to transform it.
Speaking of investments, utilization of land, there was an experiment, Galana Kulalu.
Yes.
An experiment in how irrigation take up arid land, learn lessons from the Israelis on how to transform arid land into arable land and supply enough maize. What is happening? What is going on there? Is it a failed experiment?
Yeah, Galana Kulal was a good plan that was poorly implemented. And I think there was opaqueness and maybe even corruption in the way it was done. If you look at the cost of the money used there and the results, you can see it doesn't tally. If you look at the experiment again, you see maize was not the best choice as a crop for Galana Kulal. Cotton is doing well there also. Soya can do very well.
And speaking of the best crop for an area, it's something you've talked about before. And you came under fire. It was the time when you were coming under fire for saying the cost of Unga would come down by a shilling when the levies on imported maize were announced. You announced the suspension of those levies. And you said Kenyans should start thinking of diversifying.
Yes.
What they consume.
Yes.
Your ministry also just a couple of months ago reduced the cost of a bag of fertilizer. What do you say to the farmer who says some of these measures are coming in a little bit too late?
Well, as I've said earlier, the disruptions of COVID-19 were not envisioned. It's a challenge everywhere. We didn't think out. You see, even in the US, the inflation rates have gone to 40%. Inflation costs have skyrocketed because of disruptions of COVID and also cartelization of the transport sector. Those shipping companies coming together and becoming almost like a cartel, increasing prices 3 times. So it will not be fair to say we did it, it's coming too late, because it's a problem that nobody had figured out. But we came in good time. Farmers who are still planting. The fertilizer was also available for top dressing. It is a problem we didn't expect. How
long can we expect this relief to last? A lot has been made over the last few days of the IMF restrictions and their position on subsidies.
Well, the relief, as I've said, and the president said, that until the cost of Unga comes down, we continue with the relief. And already, as I've said, money has been put aside to last us for more than 2 months. But Treasury is still looking for more money in case we need it, if the cost will not have gone down by more maize coming. And that's why we have allowed millers to import maize at duty-free from wherever. And they actually, in this meeting, they are the ones who told us to extend the duty-free window for another, up to September, because it was ending in August, so that we can enable them to bring in more maize, cheaper maize, so that then the cost of Unga can go down.
I would imagine reserves would come in handy at a time like this. Do we not have reserves, or are the reserves the victim of the corruption that we saw plague NCPB? We saw importers being paid in the billions before farmers were paid.
Well, we shifted because of those problems you are alluding to, where NCPB was being used for corruptive practices, people making money and become a cash cow. Government, and it was a decision of cabinet shifted from physical stocks of keeping maize and cereals in stores to money, where you utilize the money to do cash transfers.
And you maintain that was the wisest decision now?
Well, looking at the circumstances, because the idea was thought that there would be maize available anyway. There is nothing wrong with doing that, by the way, if the stocks are available, if you have maize. Now, when you don't have, even if you have the money, you have a challenge, isn't it? That's why you have to source the maize from elsewhere. So probably what we should have done, which we didn't do, was to keep money in NCPB to buy maize from even outside the country directly, so that you have maize that is cheaper, and then millers can access from there, and even other people can access the maize. This problem came and escalated too quickly for us to make that arrangement. And again, we also didn't want to start. It's a political season where you'd be accused of anything. So if government started buying maize, you will hear stories about how much money people have made. I'm not surprised people are even saying government increased the price of maize. Somebody saying that in the rallies. And we run a market system that is free, where prices go up depending on demand.
I appreciate your time. I imagine at this time you're a very busy man.
Thank you very much.
I will see you on the other side of studio. And here we are.